Have you ever met someone by complete accident? And that one moment rewrote the entire story of your life? This isn't just a love story. It's a story about pain, healing, and second chances when life feels beyond repair. Meet Ryan Callahan, a wealthy CEO hiding a heart broken by tragedy. And Amelia Brooks, a struggling woman living day by day, never expecting to be someone's miracle. This is the story of how a single mistake brought them together and changed everything they ever believed about love and family. The rain hadn't stopped for hours. Ryan Callahan sat in the back seat of his black Mercedes, staring out the tinted window. His phone buzzed again. Another email, another reminder of the board meeting he didn't care about. But nothing mattered more than getting home to his daughter Lily. 7 years old. Bright. Sharp. Too mature for her age. She had to be, after losing her mother to cancer 2 years ago. Ryan still remembered Lily's tiny fingers clutching his suit jacket at the funeral. "Daddy, who's going to brush my hair now?" she whispered. He had money, power, an empire. But when it came to being a father, he was always afraid he wasn't enough. That's why he'd posted the job for a private tutor. Someone to help Lily not just with school, but with being a child again. Laughing, learning, living. Across the city, Amelia Brooks clutched a wrinkled umbrella as she ran toward a bus stop, soaked to the bone. Her shoes squelched with every step. She just finished her 3rd shift as a barista and was rushing to get to a nanny job that wasn't even hers. The address had come to her by mistake. An email intended for someone else. But she was desperate. Rent was due. Her landlord was threatening eviction. And her little brother back in Oregon needed money for his surgery. So she went anyway. She told herself she'd explain once she arrived. Maybe she'd be lucky. Maybe they wouldn't slam the door in her face. At the Callahan estate, miles of manicured hedges, glass walls, and silence, Lily sat curled on the window bench with a book. She was waiting. Another stranger was coming. Another woman with a fake smile who'd quit after 2 weeks. When the gate opened and Amelia stepped out of the cab, Lily noticed something different. The woman looked like she didn't belong there. Her coat was torn at the elbow. Her hair was damp and windblown. But she had kind eyes. Ryan opened the door himself, unusual for a man who had staff for everything. "You're the tutor?" he asked, glancing her up and down, clearly skeptical. Amelia hesitated. "Ah, yes, Amelia Brooks." She didn't mention the mistake. Not yet. She couldn't afford to. Ryan gave a curt nod. "You're early. Lily's in the living room. Let's see how she responds." She stepped inside and everything hit her at once. The marble floors, the silence, the way wealth felt like a weight in the air. Lily looked up from her book. "You're not like the others," she said quietly. "No," Amelia smiled. "I'm not." They spent the next hour doing math problems. Except Amelia turned them into pirate stories. They read poems. Amelia added voices and sound effects that made Lily giggle. They even played a clapping game between vocabulary drills. Ryan watched from the hallway, arms crossed. For the first time in months, Lily laughed. Not a polite giggle. A real, belly-shaking laugh. After Amelia left that night, Ryan called his assistant. "Keep her. Whatever she asks, pay it." But Amelia didn't ask for much. She never did. And she didn't correct the mistake either. Not that night. Not the next. Because for the first time in a long time, someone needed her. And it felt like home. Amelia's second day started before dawn. She woke up in her tiny apartment, heated leftover soup for breakfast, and took the earliest bus to the Callahan estate. She didn't want to be late. She couldn't afford to be. She arrived before the staff even started their routines, and to her surprise, Ryan was already in the garden. He was wearing a gray hoodie and joggers, pacing with his phone pressed to his ear. His sharp, commanding voice sliced through the air. "I said no, Harrison. I'm not selling. I don't care what the board says." When he spotted Amelia, he ended the call and gave her a brief nod. "You're early." "I like to prepare," she replied softly. He stared at her a moment, then turned back toward the house. Lily's in the kitchen. She asked for you. There was something different in his voice. Less cold. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was caution. In the kitchen, Lily sat at the island munching toast. You came back, she said, her tone casual but her eyes hopeful. Of course I did, Amelia smiled. I told you I would. That morning they made a volcano using baking soda and food coloring. Amelia turned the whole lesson into a science adventure, complete with handmade explorer badges. When Ryan walked by, he saw Lily wearing a makeshift lab coat, Amelia's oversized hoodie, and shouting, "Eruption incoming!" He didn't say anything, but Amelia caught the faint curve at the corner of his mouth. It was the first time she'd seen him almost smile. Day by day, Amelia became a fixture in their lives. She started packing small lunches for Lily, always adding a silly note inside. She began organizing books in the library after hours. On Fridays she introduced pajama reading night, where Lily would read aloud from her favorite stories, tucked in bed with hot chocolate. And sometimes Ryan joined, quietly, sitting at the edge of the room, pretending he was just passing by. He wasn't. Amelia noticed the dark circles under his eyes. The way his hands sometimes trembled when he thought no one was watching. The way he never stayed in a room long enough for anyone to ask how he was doing. So she didn't ask. She just made sure there was always warm tea in the corner of his desk when he worked late. Fresh pen on the notepad. Quiet gestures that said, "I see you. You're not alone." But secrets have a way of surfacing. One evening Ryan came home earlier than usual. He passed by the study and heard Lily laughing. "She says I'm her favorite student," Lily said proudly. "Technically you're my only one," Amelia teased back. Ryan stepped inside. "You've been doing well in school. Better than ever." Lily beamed. "Because of Amelia." He turned to Amelia. "I don't say it enough. Thank you." Her smile faltered just a little. She hadn't expected gratitude. Or warmth. She didn't know how to receive it. Later that night, Amelia stayed behind to help Lily finish a book report. When the little girl finally dozed off, Amelia tiptoed downstairs to leave. That's when she found Ryan in the kitchen, sipping whiskey alone. "You don't sleep much, do you?" she asked gently. He glanced up. "Not when there's this much to lose." She walked over slowly, unsure if she was overstepping. "You haven't lost everything, Ryan." He looked at her. Really looked. And for a second he saw not just a tutor, but someone who carried pain too. Someone who understood loneliness. They didn't speak after that. Just sat in silence for a few minutes, both holding pieces of their past like fragile glass. But the calm didn't last. The next morning, Ryan's assistant showed up at the door with a stack of resumes. "These are the applicants who actually applied for the tutoring job," she said brightly. "Including the one we meant to hire." Ryan's brows furrowed. "What do you mean, meant?" That's when he saw it. Amelia's name wasn't on the list. Confused, he opened her original email thread. And saw the truth. She had received the job info by mistake. Amelia wasn't the real applicant. She wasn't a licensed educator. She wasn't background checked. She wasn't even supposed to be there. His hands clenched. That night, when Amelia arrived, he met her at the door. "Come in," he said coolly. "We need to talk." Her heart dropped. Inside the study, he placed the printed resumes on the table. "You lied to me." She swallowed hard. "No. I didn't lie. I just didn't correct you." "That's the same thing," he snapped. "You weren't supposed to be here, Amelia." "I know. And I'm sorry. But I needed the job." He stared at her, jaw tight. "So you took advantage of me? Of Lily?" "No," she said, voice cracking. "I never meant to hurt anyone. I didn't think I'd get another chance. I've been working 3 jobs. I'm behind on rent. My brother, he's sick. I wasn't trying to cheat you. I was just surviving." Ryan looked away. She stepped closer. "I know I don't have degrees or perfect credentials. But I love teaching. I love Lily. And I know I've made a difference. You've seen it. He remained silent. I was wrong to stay under false pretenses. But everything I did with honesty and care. Ryan met her gaze, and something shifted in his expression. Not anger. I'm not mad because you lied, he said softly. I'm mad because I let you in. And with that, he walked away, leaving her standing in the hallway with her heart in her hands. Outside, the rain had started again. And this time Amelia had no umbrella. The storm outside mirrored the turmoil in Amelia's chest. She stood in the pouring rain, clutching her bag to her chest, as Ryan's mansion disappeared behind her. For the first time in weeks, she felt truly lost, like her world had been pulled from beneath her feet. She had known this moment would come. Somewhere. The rain poured harder as Amelia stepped outside, her shoes squelching with each step across the stone driveway. She didn't look back, not once. Her chest burned with shame, not just because she'd been caught, but because of how she had come to care for both Ryan and Lily. How could she explain the connection she'd felt? How could she convince a man like Ryan Callahan, whose walls were built from grief and betrayal, that her mistake wasn't a manipulation? She couldn't. Not tonight. Back inside the house, Ryan stood by the tall window, arms folded tightly across his chest as he watched her small figure disappear into the rain. He felt a confusing cocktail of anger, disappointment, and something else he didn't dare name. Lily's voice startled him from behind. Why did Amelia leave without saying goodbye? He turned around slowly. She had to go. But she always tucks me in, Lily whispered. Ryan crouched down. I'll tuck you in tonight, okay? But the moment he kissed her forehead, Lily turned her face away. She didn't do anything wrong, she said stubbornly. He didn't answer, because deep down, he knew Lily might be right. The next few days passed in silence. The mansion, once echoing with Lily's laughter and Amelia's light footsteps, now felt sterile again. The warmth was gone, replaced by cold routines. Ryan tried hiring another tutor, a certified professional with an impressive resume. But Lily rebelled. She refused to speak, refused to do her lessons, refused to eat dinner at the table. She's not Amelia, she said each time. Ryan was running out of answers. And sleep. His late nights grew later. His temper grew shorter. And his guilt began to swallow him whole. One evening, as he sifted through mail in his office, a small envelope fell from between the bills. No return address. Just his name handwritten. Inside, he found a note in Amelia's familiar script. Thank you for letting me feel seen for a moment. I'm sorry for the way things ended. But I'm not sorry for the way I cared. Please tell Lily I'll always root for her. There was no bitterness in the note. Only quiet grace. Ryan read it twice. Then again. His hands trembled as he folded it and tucked it into his wallet. Across town, Amelia was working late shifts at a grocery store, exhausted but determined. She'd taken a second job cleaning a local diner after hours. Anything to keep her brother in treatment and keep the lights on. But she missed Lily. She missed the books, the bedtime rituals, the unexpected joy of watching a child heal. And she missed him, even though she had no right to. 2 weeks later it happened. Lily collapsed in school. The teachers called Ryan in a panic. She'd been pale all week, and now she was burning with fever. At the hospital, the doctors diagnosed her with a severe case of strep throat and fatigue. She's malnourished and emotionally stressed, one nurse said gently. Kids like her. They carry more than they let on. Ryan sat by her bedside, hollowed out. He realized something painful. He had let the wrong person go. Not just for Lily. That night he didn't go home. He drove to the address he'd seen once on Amelia's emergency contact form. It wasn't in a neighborhood like his. The walls were cracked. The stairway smelled of mold. But he climbed it anyway. When she opened the door, her eyes widened in disbelief. Ryan. He looked different. Like he hadn't slept in days. I need your help, he said. She blinked. With Lily? Yes. He hesitated. And maybe with me too. Amelia didn't speak at first. Then she stepped aside and let him in. At the hospital, Lily's eyes lit up the moment she saw Amelia. "Where did you go?" she whispered, hoarse and weak. Amelia stroked her hair gently. "I had to go for a little while. But I'm here now." Ryan watched them silently. And something inside him softened. That night, as Lily slept, Ryan and Amelia sat on a bench in the corridor. "I should have listened to my daughter," he admitted. "I shouldn't have come under false pretenses," she replied. He sighed. "I don't want to hire you again." Amelia's shoulders tensed. He turned to her. "I want to invite you, as someone we trust, as someone who matters." She looked at him, heart pounding. "Are you sure?" He nodded. "You're not a mistake, Amelia. You're the one right thing that's happened to us in a long time." The weeks that followed were different. There were still shadows of the past, awkward pauses, unspoken guilt, but they were healing. Together, Lily got better. And every evening, the three of them found a new rhythm. Story nights returned. Science games returned. Laughter returned. One afternoon, Amelia found a small package in the garden, hidden beneath a flower pot. Inside was a handmade bookmark. It had a picture of a volcano drawn by Lily, and in clumsy handwriting, the words, "Thank you for coming back. You're my favorite thing." Tears filled Amelia's eyes. She never realized just how much she needed to hear those words. Ryan walked up behind her, hands in his pockets. "I think I'm ready to trust again," he said quietly. Amelia looked at him. "Then let's start small," she said with a soft smile. "Maybe dinner." He chuckled. "Only if I can cook." "You cook," she teased. "I'm a man of many surprises." And for the first time she believed it. But for himself. Spring came early that year, washing the city in golden warmth. For the first time in years, Ryan Callahan's home didn't feel like a mansion. It felt like a home. Lily's giggles echoed off the walls again. The kitchen smelled of pancakes on Sunday mornings. And there was a softness in the air, an invisible presence that only love could bring. Amelia. She had become a steady presence in their lives. No longer just Lily's tutor, no longer a stranger. They were something more now, though neither Ryan nor Amelia had dared put it into words. Their relationship bloomed quietly, like the magnolias outside Lily's window, unspoken yet undeniable. One evening, while cleaning the study, Amelia discovered an old, forgotten piano tucked beneath a dust cover. She lifted the sheet and ran her fingers gently over the keys. A few notes rang out, soft, nostalgic, out of tune but beautiful. She played a little melody, one she remembered from her childhood. Lily heard it first and came running in. "You play?" Amelia smiled. "A little. My mom taught me before she passed away." Lily climbed onto the bench beside her. "Teach me." Ryan walked in to find them both hunched over the piano, their laughter blending with music. He stood silently in the doorway, watching. And just for a second he allowed himself to imagine. What if this was forever? But life has a cruel sense of timing. And shadows have long arms. One morning, Ryan sat at his desk when his secretary walked in with a troubled expression. "Sir, we've received an anonymous report." He raised a brow. "About what?" "About Amelia Brooks. Someone's claiming she lied on her employment records. And that she has a criminal record." Ryan's blood ran cold. "That's impossible." The secretary slid a folder across the desk. Inside were copies of documents, mugshots, a record of shoplifting charges from 6 years ago. Amelia's name was there. Ryan stared at the papers, stunned. He remembered what she had told him, that she once made mistakes when her brother was sick, that she had no choice. But now it wasn't a memory, it was a scandal. His phone buzzed. Journalists, board members, legal advisors. And his heart sank. Because all of them wanted one thing. Amelia gone. That evening, Ryan confronted her. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't accuse her. But his silence was louder than any scream. Amelia looked at the documents. Her lips trembled. She had known this day might come, but not like this. Ryan. I was 19. My brother was dying. We were living in our car. I stole baby formula and medicine. Got caught. I never did it again. He didn't speak. She added. I told you once I had secrets. I just didn't think you'd look at me this way when you saw them. His jaw clenched. You lied on the form, Amelia. That's a felony. I was afraid you wouldn't even let me through the door if I told the truth. Tears welled in her eyes. But everything else, every moment with Lily, with you, that was real. Ryan turned away. And she understood. Some mistakes the world never forgives. The next morning she packed her things. She left Lily a note on her pillow. You made me brave again. I love you always. And she disappeared. Lily was inconsolable. Why do people keep leaving? She cried. Ryan felt hollow. He had made the safe choice. The logical one. The professional one. But his heart felt like it had been carved out. Days passed. Then weeks. Until one night, he sat alone in the garden, holding a single photo. It was from a picnic they'd had last month. Lily, Amelia, and him, laughing under the cherry blossoms. That's when he realized something terrifying. He had chosen the world's opinion over his own truth. And he had lost the woman he couldn't stop thinking about. The next day he made calls. He met with legal counsel. He told the board he didn't care about the scandal. They could take his title, take his office, but not his heart. Then he searched for Amelia. But she was nowhere. Her phone was disconnected. Her old apartment was empty. And just as he was about to give up, he got a message from Lily's school counselor. Mr. Callahan, there's a girl here, Amelia's brother. He wants to speak to you. Ryan met him at the hospital. A thin, pale boy with dark eyes that looked far older than his age. He introduced himself as Jack. I know who you are, Jack said softly. You're the man my sister loves. Ryan froze. She told me about you. Said you changed her life. Said she was scared. Because she finally had something to lose. Ryan's voice cracked. Do you know where she is? Jack nodded. And handed him a handwritten letter. The letter was short. I'm tired of running, Ryan. But I won't be your shame. Love you. But I love myself now too. If you ever choose me, not just as Lily's tutor, not just as the girl with a past, but as me, I'll be waiting. The address was scribbled at the bottom. It was a town 2 hours away. A small cabin by a lake. Quiet, hidden. Ryan didn't hesitate. The drive was long. The skies were gray. But when he reached the lake, he saw her, sitting on the dock, feet in the water, her hair blowing in the wind. She turned slowly, eyes wide, disbelieving. He walked toward her and dropped to his knees. I choose you, Amelia, he said. Not despite your past, but because it made you strong. 'Cause you made me strong. You made Lily hope again. Tears ran down her cheeks. I thought you'd never come. He took her hand. Come home. And this time she did. The first morning back in the Callahan house felt like stepping into a memory, one that had almost slipped away forever. Amelia stood in the kitchen, unsure if she was dreaming, until Lily raced in with sleepy eyes and tangled hair and wrapped her arms around her waist like she never let go in the first place. I missed you, Lily whispered. I missed you more, Amelia said, holding her tighter than she ever had before. Ryan watched them from the hallway. 1,000 apologies lingered on his lips, but none felt big enough. So he simply walked in, kissed the top of Lily's head, and whispered to Amelia, let me spend the rest of my life making this right. And just like that, life gave them a second chance. But second chances, though beautiful, aren't always easy. News had spread about Amelia's past, her relationship with Ryan, and his decision to stand by her. The board at Callahan Enterprises wasn't happy. Ryan was called in for a formal hearing. You're risking the company's image, one executive snapped. Shareholders don't want scandal. You're setting a precedent, bringing someone with a criminal record into your family and defending her. Ryan stood calmly. What precedent is that? Compassion. Forgiveness. I'll stand by that any day. You could lose your position as CEO. I've built this company from the ground up. If the price of love is the title on my door, I'll pay it. The room went silent. Outside the corporate world, opinions weren't kinder. Mothers at Lily's school whispered when Amelia came to pick her up. Some invited their daughters to birthday parties, but didn't extend the invite to Lily anymore. Amelia tried to ignore it. But at night, she'd stare out the window, wondering if she had brought trouble into Lily's life. One night she told Ryan, "Maybe you were right the first time. Maybe I don't belong." The sun streamed through the tall windows of the Langston estate, casting soft golden rays over the newly bloomed garden. For the first time in years, the mansion wasn't just a monument of wealth. It was a home. The sounds of laughter floated down the halls. Emily was helping Ava rehearse her lines for the school play. In the kitchen, James, the once cold and overworked CEO, was trying and failing to bake cookies. Rebecca stood silently at the doorway, watching this simple scene with a heart fuller than it had ever been. She never imagined her life would look like this. From the moment she knocked on the wrong door to tutor Ava, everything changed, yet in ways she never could have predicted. Her journey had been one of healing, of facing ghosts, and finding herself in the most unexpected of places. Not in some successful career she once dreamt of, but in the tender embrace of a child who had lost her mother and a man who had forgotten how to live. James, wiping flour from his hands, looked up and caught her watching. "Hey," he smiled softly. "I think I've finally cracked the perfect chocolate chip recipe." Rebecca laughed. "You mean Ava cracked it? You just ate the dough." He chuckled, walking over to her and wrapping his arms around her waist. "Details," he whispered. "We make a good team, don't we?" She nodded, resting her head on his shoulder. "We do." But even with all the warmth, there were still moments of hesitation inside her. Was this too good to be true? Could something so broken be built into something so whole? That evening, after dinner, Ava surprised them both with a hand-drawn picture. It showed the three of them holding hands beneath a rainbow, with the words written in her crooked handwriting. "My real family." Rebecca blinked back tears as she held the drawing. Ava looked up and said, "Miss Rebecca. Can I call you Mom?" James froze, waiting. Rebecca knelt, pulling Ava into her arms. "You can call me anything you want, sweetheart. But Mom would be the greatest honor of my life." James swallowed hard. His heart, long walled off, now beat with the rhythm of something tender, something real. Weeks turned into months. James proposed, not with fanfare, but with sincerity. In the garden where they first sat together watching Ava play, he knelt and said, "I thought I knew what love was, but I didn't. You taught me. Say you'll build this messy, beautiful life with me." Rebecca said yes through tears and laughter. At the wedding, Ava walked down the aisle between them. The moment was not just about vows but about healing, about two lost souls finding light in each other. And as they exchanged rings under the twilight sky, it wasn't just a new chapter beginning. It was the rewriting of an entire story, one where fate turned mistakes into miracles. In a world of boardrooms and deadlines, it took a child's heart and an accidental knock on the wrong door to show James and Rebecca the power of love, forgiveness, and second chances. They weren't perfect, but together they were whole. And to anyone listening, perhaps feeling like life has taken them down the wrong road, remember, sometimes the wrong door leads you exactly where you're meant to be.